I graduated as an accounting major 5 years ago, and I'm making this video to give advice to all the accounting majors who are about ready to graduate and kind of just talk about all the things I wish I would have known 5 years ago when I graduated and everything I've learned since then. So, hope you enjoy. So, number one, you need to be a sponge. In the first year or two that you're working at an accounting firm, just try to be a sponge and learn as much as you can because you're going to be getting exposed to a bunch of things that you didn't see in your accounting classes and a bunch of new things that are specific to your current job, and just try to soak it all in and learn as much as possible because you're not expected to know everything on day one or even on 1 month, 2 months, 3 months in. Like, there's definitely a learning curve, but you need to learn so you can eventually have the knowledge base they expect you to have and go on to achieve more things and get more responsibility. So those first few months, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Don't stress that and think you need to know everything all at the start. You don't. They expect you to need to learn, but make sure you're actually learning and absorbing all these things, because there will come a time where all of a sudden you're a few months in and it's like, oh, you still don't know how to do this? And that's not really what you want. You want to learn as much as you can and those first few months so you're ready to go when you do get real responsibility. And kind of going off of that, another thing I want to say is don't just go through the motions. With accounting, especially audit, which is what I do, so kind of my advice is more specific for that, but don't just go through the motions. A lot of times it's easy to, just get a task and ask your senior associate, like, what am I supposed to do? Or you just look at the prior work paper and kind of just do the same thing and just copy what was done before without actually thinking about why you're doing it, which, yeah, you'll get the work done, but that's honestly one of the worst things you can do for your own development, because you need to actually understand why you're doing what you're doing and not just follow instructions from last year or from your senior associate. Because yeah, it's okay to just follow those directions, but what happens when you're the senior associate and when you want to become a manager and you actually have the responsibility to make these decisions, and you can't just follow like the prior year work papers mindlessly or blindly. So just when you're going through things, try to actually understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. That's going to be such a big help for you as you advance through the first few years of your career. My next piece of advice is based off of something I've kind of noticed with the newer classes coming into public accounting. And granted, I'm only like 4 years into public accounting, so I'm not even like that old in it. But I think there was definitely a shift when college classes switched to Zoom and things kind of changed around COVID, and it's kind of moved on to the classes coming into public accounting. And I think it's more just like a mindset shift, and I think a lot of the newer classes have a certain mindset that doesn't necessarily jive with the older partners and managers. I think the newer classes are, more independent. They want to have more work-life balance. They're not as willing to work hard and put in those extra hours, which honestly, fair play. Like, you do need to set boundaries and, you should care about your mental health and all that stuff. But I just think that older partners and managers and things just have a different mentality. And sometimes there's a bit of a clash there where, they're used to, I tell you what to do, I tell you how long to work, and you just do it. Whereas these newer classes are coming in and they're like, no, like, I'm my own person. I'm not just gonna let you tell me I have to work 100 hours a week, things like that. So that's really good, like I said. But I would say just be aware of it, because I think sometimes there's a little bit of a clash, and I think the best way to set yourself apart is you don't even have to work 100 hours, but just be respectful and always always show that you're willing to work. Before you log off, message your manager or senior associate like, hey, is there anything I can help with before I go? Just always have open communication. I know a lot of issues arise when associates try to leave the office early and work the rest of the day from home, or they want to work from home some days, or just things like that. Just be open, transparent, and communicate with people, and that will honestly solve a lot of the problems, because I think a lot of the issues come when the associate assumes one thing but the manager assumes another, and then it's like, what's going on here? So just be respectful and transparent, and I think that will solve most of the issues. You can really just stand out a lot by working hard and being respectful, which is a relatively low bar. I would also say if you're going to work at a public accounting firm, that's a really unique environment that not a lot of jobs out of college are like. You're going to be at a place where there's a lot of learning potential, which is obviously amazing, but there's also a lot of young people, like a lot of college students or just recently out of college. Take advantage of that, make friends, be outgoing, go to happy hours, go to events, join clubs, all that sort of stuff, because it is a pretty unique experience. A lot of times most people will just go to a job and they're like, the only college grad there or like directly out of college. So there's not a lot of young people. So really take advantage of that. Try to make friends, try to, have fun, get out of the office and do things with coworkers, because those are honestly, your coworkers are really what's going to make or break the job, because the work is whatever, it's good sometimes, it's bad others, but if you have good people around you, if you have friends in the office, that's going to make things a million times more enjoyable. So put your best effort out there to actually make those friends and make those connections. The next thing I want to say is learn how to disconnect from work. And if you saw my last video, I was in Europe just taking like a week off of work, which was honestly amazing. And every time I travel, I kind of realize there's so much more to life than just my job. When you're working every single day, like you just get into this routine and like your vision just like kind of zones in on work and home and things like that, and just becomes so much more smaller, and work takes a big part of that. And when I was traveling, like I just realized like, dang, like so much life is going on in the world, and I'm just working every day, which is obviously fine. Like you need to work and you need to care about your job, but I think it's important to, expand your horizons every once in a while and realize, okay, work is not end all be all. And I think it's important to be able to disconnect from work. And I've done a lot of in-office work, I've done a lot of work from home, so I've experienced both. I do think that working in the office and shutting my laptop and just being, okay, I'm not looking at it until I come back in tomorrow, is a really good way to do that. When I work from home, it'll come towards the end of the day and I'm like, oh, I stand up and maybe take a few minute break and then come back or start making dinner and my laptop's still there. And I don't know, it's just harder for me at least, to disconnect. And when I have my work just so close to my bed, like it kind of blurs the lines a little bit, which, I mean, if you're okay with that, fair enough. But if you're someone who kind of struggles to disconnect from work, I would definitely recommend going into the office to kind of, have those clear lines of separation. Another thing I want to say is you are going through a transition period where a lot of things will change and you're going to enter a new phase of your life, but try to hold on to your college friends. That's something that I tried to do, but honestly something I wish I would have done a better job at, is hold on to those college friends, keep those connections alive, even if it's just over a phone call or even just sending memes or texting or whatever it is. Just like try to keep some sort of connection, because I mean, you remember when you graduated high school, you had friends who you're like, oh yeah, like of course we're going to be friends in a few years, like of course. And then maybe you like didn't put in the effort to keep up the connection, and it kind of just fades away, and you kind of realize like, oh wait, it's been like 2 or 3 years, or no, maybe not that long, but like you kind of just realize that, oh, so much has changed, and it changes so quickly, and at a point it almost feels like too late to kind of reignite that, which it's probably not. You probably still can, but I think it's just much easier to try to keep those connections alive, because they're gonna obviously serve you. They could serve you in a professional capacity, good connections, things like that. But also just you want to have a lot of friends in your life, and keeping those friends from that special time of your life, college, keeping those connections alive is going to be, I think, a really great experience if you can do it. My next piece of advice is, if you are brand new out of college and you don't have a job yet, don't stress too much. Like things will work out. Life is very long. This 3, 4, 6 month period from when you graduated to when you find a job, it might feel like such a long time, and it might feel like everyone has everything else figured out and they're getting so far ahead of you, but that's just not how it is. It's such a small period of your life. Once you have your job, because you will get one eventually, then you'll be able to focus on just advancing and moving forward. And in a year or two, you're going to completely forget about those few months that you didn't have a job. So definitely look for a job, try to get one, obviously, but take some pressure off, relax a little bit, you will be okay. And honestly, enjoy the time without a job, because once you start working, you don't really ever go back to not having a job. So take advantage of it. You're in a very unique time. Don't let it stress you out too much, because it will work out. And my last piece of advice, kind of piggybacking off of the, period of time where you're not working. If you do have that period of time where you're not working, please try to get some CPA exams done for a number of reasons. One, if you can get a few exams done or all of them done, it'll make you much more likely to actually land a job because you've passed the exams. But also, just get them done before you start working, because once you start working, you're just going to be so much busier, and it's going to be much harder to squeeze in the time to actually get those exams done. And if you're one of those people who's like, should I take the exam, should I not? I'm not sure if it's worth it. A lot of people think that. I mean, my short answer is it's so worth it. Just do it, because if you plan to be an accountant for your whole career, you're going to want to be a CPA. You're really going to shoot yourself in the foot if you don't actually become a CPA. But if you do want more information on that, I have plenty of videos on my channel like explaining why becoming a CPA is worth it and just kind of the ins and outs of the career. But also feel free to drop any questions in the comments and I'll try to address them. And if you are someone who wants to take the CPA exams and isn't sure where to start, or you've struggled with them in the past, I would say check the link in the description, because I do offer like one-on-one coaching and mentorship if that's something you're interested in. So that link is down below if you want to check it out. But yeah, that's kind of my advice for anyone who is graduating as an accounting major. Those are the things that, I've kind of learned or wish I'd known 5 years ago when I graduated. And I guess I'll leave you with this last one. The time flies. Like, saying that I graduated 5 years ago is just actually insane to me. Obviously 5 years has passed, but to me it feels like 1 year maybe. Like, it just has flown by, which is really scary because every year life seems to go by quicker and quicker. But that's another thing. Just enjoy the time, in college, in the first few years of your career, and just every day. Good, wholesome advice to end the video on. Enjoy your life every day. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.